people like Ashwin or some of the Trailblazers guys, and if they don't race a certain race, they're out either supporting the race or capturing content for the race.
Or both.
Or yeah, which is like, you don't see that everywhere. Like some people who don't race just sit at home and do nothing. But over here, everybody, the whole community turns up for almost all the events, whether they're taking part or not. They're there to support, which is like a great way to actually build the community bigger and bigger. And now if you see for this Bangalore Classic 160 race, there were 60 people who took the start for 160. I'm sure like pros are also learning something new. Like every time you get on the bike, you learn something new. You learn something you shouldn't do, you learn something you should do. It's like, it's a sport that has so many variables, like Shaurya said, that making sure you have the basics down is so essential, like in order to keep yourself safe, to keep other people safe, because the quantity of things that can go wrong far outweigh what can go right.
I am Baiki Venki and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. In this episode, I have two guests, Joel Sundaram and Shaurya Kaushal, two young and strong cyclists who started a YouTube channel called From the Peloton, where they are analyzing club races in India. I really love the work they are doing on that channel. I think content like that really helps in educating and improving the awareness of the cycling and racing community. You should check it out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In this episode, we talk about racing culture in India. What are the things we can do to make racing safe in our club races? What are the things we can do outside of racing as a community to improve the safety of racing, etc. Although the main focus was on the safety aspect of it, this was a free-flowing conversation that touched on various aspects of cycling in India and how we can take it to the next level. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. With that, let us get into my conversation with Shaurya and Joel. Alright boys. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, Shaurya and Joel.
Thank you.
So, guys, what I want to do with this podcast was, talk a little bit about our racing scene. I know you guys have started, what is that? From the Peloton, FTP. Right?
Yeah.
FTP. Let us talk about FTP, your superb, race analysis YouTube channel. It was really, really good. I am going to include the channel link in the description so that people can follow. For anyone who is listening or watching on YouTube, you should definitely look to subscribe to this channel. This is really good, excellent analysis from both Shaurya and Joel on in all our local races. There are so many channels that do race analysis for Tour de France and all those races, but hardly any for us, right? So it's an excellent, I know the amount of work it takes to do that, because collecting all the footage, sifting through what makes sense, making sense of how the race went, and putting it all together, right? So talk about how did the idea come from? How did the idea originate for the channel, and how did it go?
So I think the idea originated from YouTube itself, because when both Joel and I joined LBB, we connected over discussing race analysis videos and generally racing.
Yeah.
Because both of us are on YouTube almost all the time. So,
I mean, if it isn't already aware, we're both huge geeks of like analysis, data. Like if you look at the data, it's something quantifiable, right? So that's why. So like channels like Lantern Rouge, NorCal Cycling, like huge inspirations. And then he just had the idea, like, why don't we do something like this?
So previously, I think for one of Imad's, when I was in racing, for one of Imad's vlog, I was the like DSing or supporting, and I said, okay, I'll do the entire video for the race. So then I think from there it clicked that probably there's more to racing, and we can try to like share this with everyone else. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much the start of. I don't know at what point we decided to make a YouTube channel.
I think it was more going to be like a podcast to talk about racing and tactics and what to do, what not to do. But then we saw the opportunity with the Kolar race and how it went wrong. Like,
Right.
and honestly,
Yeah.
no hate, but it did go wrong. It didn't go to plan.
Mm.
So we saw the opportunity there to discuss a few things.
Yeah, see, that is there is nothing wrong in making mistakes, right? Mistakes will be done. I mean, I have done a shit ton of races in BBCH, and more than the number of races, the number of mistakes would be like 5 times more, right? And I have learned from a few, and I still do more mistakes. But it is important for us to look back and see what we can learn from that. I think the analysis that you guys are putting it out there enables people to look at it from that perspective, and also from the perspective of what is the right way to go about it, what is the not so right way to go about it.
I think one thing we had discussed when we are going into this is we'll try to not be biased towards, like, we race for a team and we race against other riders, but we want to do an analysis outside of that realm, so that if like the best judge of yourself is you, right? So if you don't, like, for every race we come back and we watch that entire race unfold some 3-4 times, and then it starts clicking, oh this could have happened, oh that could have happened. So that's like you said, like, if the more you watch, the more you learn. This I kept saying a lot of times, because cycling is a sport, at least when like I got into it into 2015, 2016, when I got into it, I never watched cycling. Now imagine a cricketer or a footballer who doesn't watch their sport. That's not the case. It doesn't happen, right? But in cycling, I saw that this was happening with me. I wasn't watching as much. I guess so. This is where like things have to change, right? The more you watch, the more.
That was one of the first things that blew my mind. Like when I started cycling in 2020, that was around lockdown time. Immediately, like my YouTube feed was like Chris Froome, Peter Sagan, like this, that, and the other. They're just learning the sport. Because I've never ridden with people before and I've gotten into something. Now I want to learn everything I can possibly learn about the sport. So that's when like you start finding NorCal Cycling, who does crit analysis of crits that happen in the US. And Lantern Rouge does literally almost every pro race analysis. And you learn a lot from these people. Like Lantern Rouge is a lawyer.
Yeah, he's not a racer. He's not a racer.
He's an Australian lawyer who is one of the most popular, like, covers a race, like pro races, and he throws a lot of shade at riders, but like a lot of people appreciate that level of that uninvolved third party giving a clear thing about what's happening in the race. So that's what we are trying to do, and sometimes some things might come off as biased and not, but at the same time we try and cover the basics of what is required to cycle. I mean, to cycle safely, number one, because we cycle on open roads. And number two, like, for a result, not just for yourself, but for everybody who you're representing, people you ride with, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, if you are talking of being biased or not, being biased or not is basically it is at the end of the day, it is our view. Right? We try to be objective, but it is not that we are perfect. When we talk. When we watch a race, and talk about it, it is our perspective of that race and how we perceived that person's action versus this person's actions. And it is very easy to sit on a couch and say, okay, he could have accelerated there, and he could have done, not attacked here and saved for it later and all that. But being in the race, gives you another different perspective.
That's why it's from the Peloton.
From the Peloton, right? FTP.
If we don't race, we don't.
We don't know.
Oh,
I mean, honestly, we won't have any right to talk about what's happening.
Especially it's nothing like that, because Lantern Rouge doesn't
No,
ride.
I mean, yeah.
But he still talks about it.
Yeah.
But it is his perspective.
Correct.
It is his channel.
Yeah.
That is entirely fine. But what it does, of course, is gives food for thought for others. Points for discussion for everyone. Which is a great thing at the end of the day for the community, right? So till now you guys have done 3-4 analysis. Four.
Fifth one is in the works right now.
Fifth one is in the works, and I must tell the viewers and you guys as well that each one is like picture perfect. I really loved each and every one of it, because that is something that I wanted to do for a while. But of course, bandwidth and all that comes into the picture. But what I wanted to do is, after every race, do an episode just talking about it. That is much easier. I do a race blog where basically I just write my perspective of the race, how it went. And when I was not racing in the Kolar race, I was filming it, and I did my perspective. Of course, the entire race will not be known for me, but I can talk about how it went from my perspective.
Funny enough, that's the most filmed race there is. You were filming, Trailblazers were filming. That's like,
and we got so much out of it. Exactly
like
what
everything aligned for that to be our first video. Like, we had so much of footage about stuff that went wrong, right? Things that could have been done better. And like, we were all racing that race. So we had good insight from his point of view of what happened, my point of view of what happened. Did you race that race?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry, I raced for you. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. No, this is the other race he didn't race.
Yeah. So
from each of our point of views and what our objective for the race was. And then talking about it, when we actually, he messaged me, I remember asking, hey, we should think of names for the channel. And I had done this thought, like, I was waiting for him to ask that, because like the word FTP has slight relevance to us, because like a lot of people don't like that phrase FTP, but for us we like it because it's data. So I was like, we need to create something based on these 3 letters FTP, and I don't know where thought came to me from the Peloton, because this analysis, we're in the Peloton, we're racing it, and we're seeing what's happening, and nobody else in the country at least is doing this, where they race the race and then talk about it afterwards.
So yeah, here I wanted to add that it's not just us, right? It's the whole, any place in India that this could have been possible, I would say it's Bangalore. Because if it was possible anywhere else, at least I'd see that many number of events happening in that city. So it's just the community around in Bangalore which is making this happen, because every time we go in with the limited number of cameras, we're like, okay, this Trailblazer is going to be there, oh, Venki's going to be there. Somebody will gather up their entire resources to put this together for you. And then you just have to take that extra step. So anywhere else in India, I know, because like this is like an open call for other, probably like Goa might start, because Goa also has a really nice community. But
they try to put together some snippets of the races that they are doing, but this is quite unique, and that's a great point you bring up, because of the great community that we have. The guys are like pretty open to share whatever they have, right? The footage from Trailblazer boys are always there. Lot of others that are filming. If we just have to drop a message in the WhatsApp group or something saying,
don't even have to drop.
Yeah.
Like, I started getting messages, hey, I've got this footage from the race.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even ask, he's just sending it across, which is like, it's brilliant, because even guys who normally race, like people like Ashwin or some of the Trailblazers guys, and if they don't race a certain race, they're out either supporting the race or capturing content for the race.
Or both.
Or which is like, you don't see that everywhere. Like, some people who don't race just sit at home and do nothing. But over here, everybody, the whole community turns up for almost all the events, whether they're taking part or not. They're there. to support, which is like a great way to actually build the community bigger and bigger. And now if you see for this Bangalore Classic 160 race, there were 60 people who took the start for a 160k race. Like, not everyone
Massive.
finished, but it's a huge field. Like, you wouldn't think that many people would want to suffer for 160k,
Yeah.
but they did, and it's really good to see that, like, more people are coming out and racing, and I hope that actually builds, and there's more events like this that happen.
Support car for every fifth person.
Yeah, I mean, we need to talk about that as well. We'll get there. But yeah, I mean, I was looking, it would have been 61 if I did not, crash and
And one podium spot.
crash and broke my shoulder. So talking of the races that you guys have analyzed so far, let us talk about what are the learnings that we got from there, as to how to race, how not to race, and what are the things that you guys observed, right? I have some things, but let us start and we take it from there.
I think we've done 2 outstation races
Mm.
on open roads before.
Right.
Both of us have.
Yeah.
We did Chennai last year in December. We did a handicap race there, and we did Wayanad at the start of June. From both the races, what we saw was, like, no hate towards people, but like the riding culture in Bangalore is something else compared to like outstation. Just because there are, I don't know how to phrase it exactly, but we have a little bit of mutual respect when it comes to, there's a truck there, I'm not going to attack you past this truck, because there's just too many factors at play. There's a speed breaker, there's a toll, there's a truck, something. If there is something that we can't control, slow down. Like, there's no point attacking. Like, if you want to gain 5 seconds from this, but the other guy gets hit, like, what's the point in doing that? So we saw that happen in Chennai, a lot of attacking through toll plazas and speed breakers and stuff. And then in Wayanad, when the road went to absolute shits, like, he experienced it. They just attacked and they went away. Which was something like, it's tough to digest in our opinion, because we ride on Bangalore roads and everybody like signals literally every pothole, every speed breaker, every junction.
And because you don't want to lose your next day training partner.
Exactly.
You might be in a different team, but your next day you're training with him. So
Absolutely. I mean, that is a great point.
Yeah, whether it's like a race or a training ride, like if someone doesn't signal a pothole, you give them shit immediately. Be like,
Yeah.
why didn't you signal that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a good culture, because most of our races, apart from like official races, happen on open roads. Okay, so if we take the same basics that we have in a training ride over to our races, it can make life a lot safer for people. And that's something we witnessed in this classic race that just happened. Like, there's a lot of footage from his rear cam, and guys, the Goa guys were doing a lot of work at the front, and then when they would ask for space to move back in online, people just give them space. Because, there's that level of respect. Like, you point and say, I'm taking his wheel, you give them the wheel. You don't fight them for it. That's respect there. And then whenever we came to speed breakers, people would stop, just like group up and then go again. But that's something we didn't, from our experience personally, it didn't happen like in other places, maybe because of a different.
No, it is. I mean, yeah, that is true. I noticed that as well. But I think it is a factor of maturity of the cycling culture. Yeah. It is just that the number of races we have done here, the number of group races that we do here, I think it is a factor of that.
Yeah.
And the more people do group rides and the more people do races, I think it will get better.
Yeah, sure.
But it is something that we need to talk about, so that it is, it comes into their awareness that, okay, this is the right way to go about it. For example, that, in the 100k race that we did on the Hyderabad highway, or I don't remember. Yeah, on the Hyderabad highway. So the Namanandi race, I think. Correct, right? So we were going through from the start. There was 5-6 kilometers into it. There is junction, right? Signal, and we have to go. The entire thing has to go through. The first few people who get through can easily form a breakaway.
100%.
there, 100%. There is no doubt about it. But I saw specifically that he put his hand up, slowing it down, and asking people to ride calm, right? And that has to be there, right? It doesn't matter, you gain a few seconds and go away, but if it compromises the safety of the entire group, the people behind you, right? They take a risk seeing that you are off. They take a risk ignoring the traffic, crossing or coming by. They're done. So it is very important that we show that awareness and take the responsibility of the safety of the entire group, entire bunch, not just your own safety, but the entire bunch. I see the kind of dangerous riding, but that is fine in, like, when you are attacking, you don't want to attack in a straight line, but go to the right and attack, right? That is fine and unclosed roads. And that happens, you see that in nationals and everything, everywhere, right? That is the common sense. But you have to be aware that you are racing in open roads. So if you go to the right lane and a bus is coming, what is going to happen? You got to be really, really careful in our races, right? So that awareness has to come, and I see people moving to the right and taking the right lane as well and all that. We'll get into that, but those mutual respect and taking the safety responsibility of the entire group is very, very important. And what else?
Yeah, it's like, I think one other thing that we realize is so bike racing, you go with a plan, and then you should have some 100 backups, but you can't have 100 backups. So what we realize is, you go with the plan. Most probably the plan might not work out because situationally it becomes very different. There are too many variables, right? So once the plan breaks off, you have a set of basic riding rules which you should just follow. So I think go with the plan and get ready that the plan's going to get demolished. And how to get back to our ride shouldn't end there, just because something that you decided failed. And that's probably why DSs are there in the car, right? Because
they probably have a list of, this one's up ahead, okay, next plan. Okay, next plan.
And it's far too variable there. So I think that's one thing we realized, that how to have a basic
because a lot of people, see, for us it's easy. We go in with a team. We go in with a team of 5-6 guys. So 5-6 guys out of a peloton of 40 is still a huge percentage of the peloton. So if one person in our team is having a good day, we're all having a good day. But if you're solo riding, if you're not having a good day, you're not having a good day. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't made the break, your race is over. Now, how do you work off of that? How do you take advantage of teams that are there in the group? That's kind of insight that we want to share. We shouldn't, but we want to, because that helps grow the community.
Absolutely.
For sure, how to take an advantage of an LBB guy is not in the break. Don't do any work. Make them do the work, because they're not represented and they're racing in Bangalore. And if they're not in the break, they're going to look stupid.
Right.
So sit on the wheel and make them chase. You don't have to do any work.
Right.
Those are sort of...
and as a corollary to that, if a guy from your team is in the break, you don't do work, right? You don't chase your own teammate. So I mean that I see it a lot of times. Even in the Namanandi race, I was in a pretty semi decent shape to be able to stay with the front group, and I saw the million attacks that you were doing. Yeah, and I see people,
I mean, you've been in the racing scene for 10 years now? 10 years.
Yeah, exactly 10 years
so
now.
I'm sure there would have been many, because these are still newer teams, right? Early days would have been many more other teams.
Yeah, definitely. But you have to understand that when your guy is in the front, he's away. If you are working at the front, it basically means you are working against your teammate, right? So that, if you are going in the front specifically to slow down the pack, that is a different thing. Okay, but if you are doing anything over tempo, you basically mean you are.
A lot of it comes down to like situational awareness.
Right.
Like people.
I mean, you see Remco doing that to Julian Alaphilippe. So.
To Almeida doing it to Remco in the Giro last year. Like this happens a lot, but at the same time, people need to, what I understand is, people didn't know that was wrong. That they just didn't lack that knowledge to question. Hey, why am I doing this kind of a thing?
No, absolutely. Yeah. That is what I'm talking about. Yeah. That you need to be aware of that, and the work you guys are doing with the race analysis helps give that awareness, impart that awareness in people.
In the most recent video, we've given both of us, we've given each other a lot of awareness, because you'll see why. Some really big mistakes from our end.
Blunders.
We roasted the shit out of us.
Yeah, I mean, I was I was following the race updates from here, and I was wondering about a few things that you guys were doing.
But like you said, to do a million mistakes too.
Absolutely. If people like you were saying, right? People who have been racing since they were like kids also make mistakes, either wantedly or unwantedly. That is another issue. So we need to keep working, keep analyzing what is right, what is wrong, and how we can take this knowledge further.
One thing I want to say for races, something that I saw in Chennai, when we both signed up for the Chennai race, they had a specific thing for, I guess this applied to people who are a little less experienced. They had a thing that said, have you taken part in a minimum of 2 races prior, or have come to this ITT or come to this. So there was a minimum criteria of having done this many events to register for the race, which is something which is good. Say if we were to apply that to Bangalore, say you have to come for 1 or 2 group rides, like Nandi Train or something like that, in order to take part in a handicap or a BBCH race, that gives us the confidence that, hey, he knows how to ride a bike. He knows how to stay in a straight line. Because we've seen before inexperienced riders who don't ride in a group, 2020 Kolar Express, one guy took out quite a lot of few people. Your bar handicap race, one guy took out a few people. And they were both people who are not experienced.
Resulting in handicap, literally us becoming handicaps.
At some point in time, I feel like we are responsible. Yeah. Because I look back to when I started cycling, the first time I rode in a group and rode in an echelon or a formation was when you had taken the initiative of calling everybody on a Saturday 1 week before the race so that they can learn how to rotate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now when we are active, it's our responsibility. So probably that's a good point, right? We need to take more initiatives.
No, that is definitely something that we need to do as a community, right? We have been that is something that I am telling myself now again and again, because I was doing a lot of that before the pandemic, and the pandemic kind of got everything,
and indoor rat,
and we forgot what how we started.
What is upright?
Right. So, and we have to restart that again, right? We have to restart those group rides with specific agendas, right? Taking rotations. Double pace line, making smooth rotations with double pace lines, how to ride as a echelon, and how to safely overtake, and all that, right? So we need to bring back those group rides with that intent in mind. It's not just attacking, having a hard ride. So we can have those as well.
Yeah,
with
and I remember at some points of time, 50-60 riders would come up, would come for those rides.
yeah,
Um,
20,
So,
30. I've seen like huge numbers, and we had to break up into groups,
Wow.
right? So that
yeah,
it
Craig
is
used to take one group and he'll take another group.
yeah. Otherwise, it would be like too huge right.
Yeah. So it's okay. I used to get dropped anyways. 10 kilometers in, I'm in the back.
So that we need to start again.
for sure.
And once I'm back outdoors, let us start that. Definitely, we can do multiple. We have so many of us who are experienced, who can lead these rides.
Right.
And lead very safely as well, right? So let us do that as a community, and that is one thing that we definitely have to do, right, to make our races safer. So talking of safety, right, let us dig a little deeper, right? During my first year of racing, I've seen people, I seen one or two, and I still remember those people's names and faces and how exactly what were their riding styles, right? Because it was just out of the ordinary. It is so eccentric, like moving here and there. These are the people who are very athletic, probably in school and all that, like Joel here, and they come with good fitness, right? And when they come and participate in the races, they have the fitness to ride with the group, ride with the front group, but no awareness of what is the right way to, what is the safe way to ride. Okay, that awareness, it is not that they are doing that wantedly to make people crash or anything. It is that they don't know. And these group rides that we are talking about, that we need to do more of, will address that.
Yeah, when you know that the sprint only opens up with 400, 200 meters to go, you can always wait and just be patient.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you have to watch something to know that.
But that's something that's unique to cycling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't see it in any other sport where, like, in basketball, tapping hand is a foul.
Yeah.
Football, kicking another person's leg is foul. In cycling, there are 150 different fouls.
And there are a lot of unsaid
things, like there are so many nuances to cycling itself that, like, I'm learning a new thing every day. I can't imagine, like, I'm sure, like, pros are also learning something new day. Like, every time you get on the bike, you learn something new. You learn something you shouldn't do. You learn something you should do. It's like, it's a sport that has so many variables, like Shaurya said, that making sure you have the basics down is so essential, like, in order to keep yourself safe, to keep other people safe, because the quantity of things that can go wrong far outweigh what can go right. Like, it's if you start going down the rabbit hole, it's quite bad, quite dark, but
like a good example of this is how, like, what I only learned recently is how to look back. Like, okay, like, you're in a group, now you have to look back where people are, right? So it's okay to hold the rider who's next to you with their, like, consent. Obviously, you have to and hold the person and then look back so that you keep going in a straight line. Otherwise, you will crash into them, right?
Right.
So these are like small things that you only learn when you ride with people, and
and when people, when typically outside, when they ride and they want to look back, they bend straight down
right.
and look from below.
And you don't realize your bike is going that same direction because your balance is shifted.
No, because if you tilt like this, you are moving that way. You tilt left, your head, your bike is moving the other direction, right? So it is important that you have that awareness. And similarly, the another thing that you're riding in a peloton, you get up.
how to get back onto the saddle.
Right.
You got to push your bike a little extra, right?
So
Those things.
you have to know that when you are getting up, your bike is
Right.
going back.
I have a funny story about that actually.
Right. So
Go on.
people signal that chicken wings or whatever, right?
Right.
You use that signal, let the person behind, give him a couple of seconds, let them know that you are getting up, right? Otherwise your back wheel, your bike is actually moving back, and whatever gap is there from the wheel behind you is going to probably overlap and take him out, right? So that and many other things, like you say, right, all these have to be learned by riding in the group rides.
Because the peloton's getting bigger.
Right.
Race by race, it's bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger and bigger. We love,
fitness
we love the fact that more people are coming in, but we also have to, ensure that all of them are able to ride safely,
For sure.
right? For the races to, if the races are to continue, we have to make sure that they are safe races.
So,
Otherwise, they're not going to happen, right?
so about the signaling thing.
Right.
So when I was in Patiala, I used to do the chicken wing thing. But like each place they have a different sign for something. So I would do the chicken wing thing, and then one of the guys came out to me. He's like, "Bhai, ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हो?" I'm like, "I'm signaling. I'm getting up." I'm like, "No, you have to put your hand behind and tell the rider behind to go back, to give me a little more gap there, and then you can get out of the saddle." So I'm like, "Okay, that's a good thing. You tell them to give a few back." Came here, and then that sort of like transferred. So I did both. I did the chicken wing and put my hand back. Not going to say any names, but the person behind me gave me a high five. I was so confused. I'm telling you to back up. Why
I
you
would
doing-
probably think you're going to fart or something. Like please, like, go behind.
I mean, yeah, everyone has a different signal, but like that reminded me. Also, okay.
Well, you know something is
Something's
happening. So you have your hand on the brake.
So, and then someone has asked me like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, I'm telling you to back up. I'm about to get out of the side. Like, oh, okay. So
Right.
that made me think like, not everybody knows. It's not common knowledge that you signal every move you make,
Right.
which should be actually.
Mm.
Like, there are brilliant videos by all this I learned from GCN.
Yeah.
Like, they have videos on how to ride in a group, signals to point out a hole, to point out a speed breaker, to point you're going right, left, come to the right, car on the left. Like, there's all these different signals that you just have to know if you're riding in a peloton, whether it's a race, in a peloton, or if you're riding in a group ride. It's just to keep everybody around you safe. And you see Tour de France, they're doing the same signals. If there's road furniture, hand up, move to the side.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it just, those same basics transfer up onto the world stage as well. And if you learn them in this group, you have to know them in these group rides to keep us safe, because we're not bike handlers like Thomas Pidcock and Wout van Aert.
Yeah, absolutely right. Right. And that, all these, racing predictably, they all come under racing predictably, right? So people behind you, around you have to know that you are, moving certain way. If you are like holding your line, right? Holding your line becomes such a basic thing when you're riding in a group, right? So if you are not able to hold your line, then it's a problem, either by looking back, or just that moving randomly side to side, you are going to take out a few wheels, free front
Good
wheels.
way to, if you're out riding alone, like how I practice this is, there's this white line on the road, and I try to keep my bike on that white line.
Yeah.
And then you start picking up, okay, how can if I look down, I won't be able to, have to look a little further ahead.
Right.
So even for riders who are riding alone, can just practice all of these things by keeping this in mind.
Yeah, look, there is that rule, right? When in bike handling, either motorbike or car or
Where you
anything,
look is where you
look
go.
where you, where you look is where you go. So don't look
down.
So
Now,
you have to.
One thing I want to prefix by saying this is, like, when we point out these things, we're not like signaling out people. Because by pointing out is when you become aware. Like for example, I became aware of something I didn't know I was doing from a bar handicap race with you. It was Shaurya, me, NJ and Mac in the chase group, catching the group up ahead. And after the race, NJ said, "Man, Joel, you like make a move at the last possible moment," which I didn't realize I was doing, but I became aware that I was doing that because
Four riders behind you.
there are four guys behind me, and if I react at the last possible moment, that effect goes down the line. Maybe Shaurya will make it past, maybe NJ will make it past, but like the fourth guy is not going to react that quickly and might go straight into the vehicle in front. And that was a bad habit I picked up from commuting. Like I used to commute by bike, and I like you have to be on edge all the time and like react quickly, and like because you can't change lane immediately because someone behind is going to horn. So you react quickly and go through, but that's not something you can take onto a road. A
group ride and race, right?
So that's something I learned by someone pointing it out. Hey, you're doing that wrong, and I didn't take it bad. Like I knew, oh shit, that I could have it's quite dangerous to do something like that.
I learned how to pull out a bottle.
Yeah. So it's like we learn by people pointing it out. It's no hate. It's constructive criticism for you to learn and get better. So when someone says, hey, you're swerving a lot, be like, okay, I need to control my upper body because I'm swerving quite a bit. So it's just small learnings like that you'll pick up. Like for example, in the race before this race, which was the Kolar race, I pointed out to one guy that every time someone attacked, he would just cut across and try and follow. And I told him, hey, stop doing this. I told him 3-4 times. And he came after the race and asked me, hey, why did you ask me to stop doing that? And I said, look, if we're on open roads and if someone attacked you, are to cut across my wheel. If I lose my wheel, I'm going into the truck that's behind us.
Yeah.
But on an open road, if you cut across and I lose my wheel, that's my fault. Nothing. I have to control. But there are vehicles behind us that we are not controlling. So you have to keep that in mind by making a move. So you don't give it a few seconds, give it a gap. At the end, it's going to be a 1 second longer effort to catch onto his wheel. That's fine. That's better than you hitting someone and then losing their life.
Right.
The vehicle coming down. So it's just small things. If you don't take it too personally, you can actually learn quite a lot from people giving you criticism.
Yeah, I mean, I point out all the things that I notice immediately to the riders. Sure. Maybe because of my white beard, they kind of don't tell anything in my face that but they tend to take it positively itself.
No, but that's a learning though. It shouldn't be taken as, hey, he's shitting on me. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's it's for your good, for our good, for everyone's good, and people should not be afraid to call out this kind of behavior in a peloton, but also not take it over the top. No swearing, no shouting unnecessarily. Just be like, hey, don't do this.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. That is something that I have noticed.
Yeah.
Communicate in a good way.
Correct.
Right? There is a good way to tell and a bad way to communicate the same thing. And probably there is no one right way to do everything, but typically we have few right ways to do it, right? Few right ways to communicate. Yeah, general. So if you are communicating, you are racing, your heart rate is at 170, 180, right? The adrenaline is pumping. And it is very easy and you are actually going to use a louder voice when you are talking, right? Because you are moving at a speed, air and wind and everything. You have to shout out, but it should not come across as a aggressive thing, right? You have to use a tone, even if it is loud, that it is respectful. So, and swearing, I'm definitely against it, man. So your friends outside, all that, but don't swear in the peloton is what I would say.
I'm guilty of doing it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm guilty because at the heat of the moment you do stuff, but yeah, for sure it's not a right thing to do because it's you immediately dull the mood of the rider.
Absolutely, because see, I'm talking from recent past experience. I'm not going to name their names, but because both of them are beautiful human beings, great friends of mine, but and off the bike you would know that they are thorough gentlemen, right? But in the race, they are, both, one of them was using swear words against the other and obviously pissed him off, right? And that translated to coming off and carrying the same bad moment, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, we've seen this on US crits.
It's not just here.
Yeah.
Happens
No,
everywhere.
anywhere. It is just common sense that you don't. You use
Yeah,
proper way to
Like,
communicate.
So this is another like friend of mine who
Hmm.
is a biologist. He showed me a paper on how just raising your eyebrows when you're doing such a high effort raises your HR.
Hmm.
So why waste all of this energy
Hmm.
when you can just poker face and hand signal everything?
Yeah.
So just like if you are pissed at something, just thumbs up to that. Get along.
Yeah. You want to ask someone to work, ask them, and if they are not working, drop them off and go.
And another thing, if you're getting that angry, in a race, drink water. Honestly, I'm not saying this is a joke. I watched something recently that said there are two ways of bonking. One is you feel fine, and then you just completely run out of energy. That is lack of food, lack of fuel. Another bonking is dehydration. You'll be going great, you'll be fine, but you'll just get angry at everything. Like no matter what someone does or something does, will just piss you off. That's dehydration. So drink water. If you're getting angry a lot, please just drink more water. I'm sure things will become calmer
Pour
and
some
better.
on your hair.
Yeah.
And then if you're drinking water, your mouth will also be closed.
No, I mean, I think that will also come to, come under the bracket of respecting your fellow riders, and right. So that has to be there. That becomes, for me at least, that becomes the primary basics of everything that you're doing, right? What are we doing here? We are working, and I mean, not yet in this person's case.
Wait,
We're
what?
pursuing,
Oh, right.
yeah, pursuing,
Just got
but
You ride to work, we work to ride.
No, I mean, see, again, I'll play devil's advocate here. In race situations at high heart rate, stuff does get heated. But one thing it shouldn't do is move off the bike. Like it shouldn't go into like say for example at a podium ceremony, or in terms of the US crit, like after the race, punches being thrown and stuff like that. Like that shouldn't happen. Like if it happens on the bike, like get off, let your heart rate go below 100, and then talk to the guy. Be like, hey, I didn't like when you did that. He'd be like, oh, I didn't like when you did this, and sort it out. Over, khatam. You don't need to.
when you approach the other person with respect, with that basic respect of your for your fellow riders and racers, those things happen, right? That you don't take it off the bike, right? So that has to be there, right? That becomes a prerequisite. And I had a few points like holding your line to race predictably and safely, right? Holding your line, riding predictably, and making sure that you are not overlapping other wheels, and making sure that your front wheel is your responsibility. You have to take charge of that, right? Making sure that your front wheel, you're keeping it safe, right? Another thing that I kind of found recently, and it's observed recently on a few occasions, is some people riding with music in both the ears.
Racing or
Racing. Racing. Okay. And I told that person, and very respectably,
In the ears or?
in the ears.
Oh, okay. That's different.
In the ears. Because I can't say that don't use any equipment while riding, because I myself listen to podcasts while I'm riding, not racing. Okay, but I got some open ear stuff now. Still, it is not 100%. Huh?
Right.
You still have, you're focusing on something
so
else.
what you can't hear is a slight someone break rubbing.
Right.
One example.
Mm.
Another example is someone's freewheeling. Just even if you're performance oriented and race result oriented, it helps me a lot to know if people are freewheeling behind me. So you got to like all these sounds that we don't realize are somehow inputs for you to do better in races. Even if you were right, like knowing that someone's freewheeling behind you.
Correct.
Is a great way
sure.
to
You're
realize
like,
that
hey,
when to
you're
put the
doing
horn
a
down.
little too much. You're relaxing a little too much.
Yeah. So I think that is really dangerous, especially for racing, right? Even for riding, just keep at least 1 year of free for listening to the signals and all that. I had to shout 3 times and then realize that okay, he's not hearing because he's blaring music in both the ears, and it is in the race where you're going like
That
crazy.
should just be a straight up no.
I think it
No.
is like if you take part in BBCH races, it's bad.
Does it-
Like,
is
at
it
least for
bad?
ITTs, they used to. I remember once in 2017 when I was doing my first ITT or something, I had come with earphones, and then Promise is like, no earphones allowed. So then I put it back in.
I didn't know. I mean, but if it isn't banned, it really should be everywhere. Doesn't matter who, where, when. If you are racing, has to be banned. Because
See, traffic's only getting worse.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. What we can do is a make or break situation for the cycling culture. Now, people either get scared and not ride anymore, or they can equip themselves to ride.
like
more
there are
safely.
different ways to do it. So when I do training, and I know a lot of people do it, like when Srinath does training, we have our phones in our pockets with that on full volume, but no earphones in. Like blasting out of a jersey. But still some music. Like I do that quite a lot. I have a frame bag, I put my phone in there, and I blast music out of that. Like the music helps, like it's a good motivator, but having it in your ears it's your responsibility on a training ride, but in a race it's no.
No,
Like
yeah.
serious no.
Because it is
At
putting
least-
everyone
yeah,
else
exactly.
also in danger, right? So that is something that we need to
Maybe
take
people
care
see
of.
the pros have earphones in and think they're listening to music as well. No, but that's like 1 year and that's for race ladies.
Yeah. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about is we kind of briefly touched upon, but in the races especially, keeping to the left lane, sticking to the left lane. We are at BBCH especially is phenomenal in with the support vehicles and everything, making sure that no other traffic is coming into the peloton, right? They are really good at managing that. But we as riders also have the responsibility of taking care of ourselves, right? Big groups like 60s, 70s, 80s, right? Some races. So what is happening is that I constantly see people spilling over to the right lane, especially when they are trying to move up or anything. But you also have to be aware of the traffic that is flowing into the right lane, right? So that is a big
that happens usually when the pace is super slow though.
yeah. If the pace is super hot, it is strung
It's
out
a
like
straight line, 60 riders deep,
Yeah.
going back.
So I think that if you see that, we just have to go to the front
Go
and
to the
just
front and work. But like you said, it's like your own responsibility, your safety.
yeah.
You're racing at your own risk, but at the same time, you have to race with a little bit of common sense. when
And
it comes
because
to-
when you are in a race, you have a responsibility not just for your own safety, but a safety of the whole group, right? That is very important. And
another thing is like, I see like it's a thing for organizers to start getting a lot of flack for incidents like that, but there's only so much that you can like watch and look out
exactly.
for.
See,
Yeah.
and
Like say this person drafted this truck on the right lane, like okay, out of 70 people, one guy's done it. You can't be watching everybody. So if you are entering a race, you should have the basic common sense to know that hey, this is going to give me an unfair advantage. I probably shouldn't do it. like, oh, this is going to put other riders at risk, I probably shouldn't do it. If you go into a race with that mindset, everybody is going to have a better day, everybody's going to have a better race, and the likeliness of someone getting hurt is going to be much slimmer.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We also need to kind of educate our support group, right?
Yeah, that's another.
That was something both of us were really happy that was actually like pointed out by BBCH last time, because like the way that we saw feeds happening and stuff, it was like so weird and like,
No,
it just didn't make any sense.
it is not just the feeds, right? Like we need footage for doing our analysis, or just making sure that people are getting that, getting a sense of the scene, right? But I've seen support vehicles, so the entire peloton is on the left lane taking it out, and there are vehicles that are going on the right lane parallel to along with the peloton and taking footage. And what is that doing?
Traffic at the back is clogged out.
Traffic at the back is clogged out. So we don't own the road, right? These are highways that are open. So we have to have that common sense.
That's one thing trailblazers are extremely good at. So if they are passing on the right side of the peloton, they are going at the speed of normal traffic.
Yeah.
The only time you see them riding parallel to the peloton is when they're on the left and they're on a service lane.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you'll notice from any trailblazers footage.
I think they should do a.
They should do on how
workshop.
to take videos and photos safely on a road, because it's really good. Like if you look at any of the analysis videos that we've done or we're using trailblazers footage, or if you look at their footage themselves on YouTube, you'll see if they're riding at the same pace of the peloton, they are on the left of the peloton.
Yeah,
because they're
I
on a
noticed
service,
that.
they're on a service lane. But if they're crossing past the peloton on the right, they're going faster. They're going at the speed of normal traffic.
Yeah.
Except for that one, you see the footage from our analysis, the BBCH Classic. We were going faster than the road traffic, so we were descending at like 70 kilometers an hour. So,
Yeah. But that is important to kind of have that awareness, and it is not that they're doing it wantedly, like all these things, right? It is not that we three are sitting here and dissing these things, right? We are talking about it to create awareness. So we are not like pointing fingers and saying, oh, this, but this is for us, as a community, to learn and grow, right? So I just,
No, and 100% not everybody's going to take it that way as well, but that's something that, we're willing to
No, yeah.
to risk.
No, that's okay. I mean, at least I have people taking notice of my white hair, so that is
Wisdom has been there.
so I am actually proud of my white beard that way. But we have to talk about it, all these things, right? Otherwise, we are not going to learn, right? As a community, if we have to grow, we have to learn, right? When I talked about these things, when I made a post 2 days after my crash about these things, people thought I lost it. People thought I had a crash for the first time and he lost his mind. But I crashed hundreds of times till now, and this is only the first time that I actually broke a major bone that I had to be operated on. But when I wrote this post about safety, right, it is not I made 2 points about it, right? Safety in terms of I wrote this post day or 2 days before the classic, the 160k race, right? I made this post because I noticed these things, and I wanted people to remember these things on that day, not that I am scared now.
No, this was very apparent in I would say, the recent 160 race. Probably, okay, other than traffic accidents, which were no riders' faults, I think it was ridden very well. Like
Yeah.
I didn't feel endangered by other cyclists at all. So yeah, I think these
Because
things that
I think we need, when I notice something like this, especially things like, respecting other riders also, right? This I haven't seen any time before. And then when I saw that, I wanted to make it a point that, this has to be talked
Yeah,
about.
it doesn't set a precedent for like.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I said, you have to communicate respectfully, people that are really close friends of mine also thought, what are you talking about? Right.
yeah, you got to be there to. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they thought, I lost it. So, but that is where I am coming from. I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
I want to be riding till I am 50, 80 or whatever, but I don't want to be, seeing this, negative trend growing. Right. So that is the reason that I wanted to talk about all these things, and also talk about the fantastic race analysis and stuff that you guys are doing with the FTP.
Yeah.
So, and what else?
So when you watch a lot of these like analysis videos of other platforms,
Yeah.
They are analyzing that style of racing.
Which is all blocked roads.
Exactly. That blocked roads, or maybe like one lane fully blocked, or the different styles of racing.
Right.
Here we have a completely different genre of racing. Like I wouldn't compare our racing to anything that they're doing.
Right.
Because there is so much more that happens in our racing that isn't under our control. Like the women's race, the truck cut off in the last 2K.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like where are you seeing that happening anywhere else?
Right.
So like knowing what to do when these situations arise is something that we want to improve, because we are doing a lot more open road races than we are doing closed road races. So that is another point that we wanted to bring across. So say when, like Shaurya was saying, you can go in with one plan, but if that plan doesn't work, you have to have different plans. So giving people like the tools to say how to go around these different random situations that might arise.
Right.
Say that truck came in front of you. Like, how do you react in such a situation? Do you unclip before the truck crosses past you? Do you go around the truck? Do you brake, wait, and then go across? Like, there are many different ways in which you can play that out. And seeing how the women actually reacted instinctively was like great.
Yeah.
And it shows, and like a lot of people, like if you see comments or like feedback from that, it made a lot of people confident that, hey, this is great. Like, these guys are doing this. Why can't I come out on the road and also race?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And it brings awareness to saying to these people who are able to race. Like in other people think, oh, Indian roads traffic, shit, I can't race at all.
Yeah.
But we're showing it's fully possible. You just need to have those few skills
Mm.
that allow you to, go around, skirting around the traffic like we do.
There is definitely more than two ways to look at things. But the one is we are seeing that the traffic is growing.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that everybody in cycling will, or generally who is on the road knows that. And patience that people have is also going lower and
Yeah.
lower.
So we need to be aware of that and take responsibility of our own safety, right? So that is really, really important, right? So excellent. I think we talked a lot about various things and mainly the safety aspects of riding and racing. And the main takeaway for me from all this discussion is for us to get those group rides going with the focus on improving the skills of everyone in the community, right? So it's we will have races, rides where we are doing race simulations and stuff. That also we'll do, but we need to bring back these rides where
skill building.
skill building.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that was it. Like, comes down to the responsibility of the person signing.
Yeah.
If you know you've never done a group ride before, or
Mm.
never ridden a group with more than 6-7 people, don't sign up for the race. Like, go out, find a group, put a message in one of the WhatsApp groups saying, "Hey, I'm riding. I want to ride." Someone's gonna respond, and go ride with them, and like just get a handle of the. You just don't register for a race. It just should be common sense at this point. Don't register for a race if you've never done a group ride before,
Yeah.
because you won't know how to react with riders who are riding 2 inches away from you.
Yeah.
Like if a bus passes us like 2 inches away from us, like it's like whoa. So imagine riding 2 inches away from someone for 100k. It can be daunting for some, and you don't really understand how it feels until you've done it.
Yeah.
So because there are people in the peloton who have a lot more in store than winning a BBCH race. Like,
Yeah.
no disrespect, but like you've got bigger ambitions. So like you have to put that they're riding the same peloton as you, so have a little respect for what they are trying to do, and go learn a little bit of the skills, and then you can come and you can measure yourself against them.
Mm.
Or so.
No, bigger aspect, bigger
Winning is in
amp.
everything,
Yeah,
right? So
for sure.
the reason you take all these risks and become twitchy is because you want to win always, but
Mm.
sometimes you just want to race hard. So
Yeah.
that's
Bigger ambitions. One thing, people are there at home waiting for you
Yeah.
to come back safely.
Grand
The
scheme
most
of things.
important
Right?
thing. Yeah.
What is more important than that, right? So you have to be mindful of that, right? So that's it. I think we have, we have done. I think we have covered a lot of territory today, but I'm sure we missed a lot also. But we have,
that we'll discuss on the group, right?
Come on
yeah.
Saturdays to learn more.
Yes, come on Saturdays and Sundays group rides for learning more of that.
Yeah.
So, thanks guys. Thank
Thanks
you for
for having
taking
us.
the time.
Yeah. And subscribe to FTP if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Hey, even
So
if you don't want to, sorry. We won't stop making content.
no. Yeah. I think I'll definitely share the link to the channel along with the show description. People can sign up for that. Definitely is worth looking at it, because these guys are talking about what is happening in our races. You might be watching Tour de France, Flanders, and all those superb races, and there are umpteen channels that do those race analysis. But what is happening in our races and how we can learn to do well in our races and do so safely is what you will learn from channels like FTP. So please subscribe, and you will definitely have a great time.
Thank you for having us.
That was my conversation with Shaurya and Joel. I hope you found that useful. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to the channel on YouTube and on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.